Hello everyone and welcome back to another financial planning video. My name is Erin Varghese and I'm a financial planner here at Pure Portfolios. These days, everyone is worried about the markets, inflation at an all-time high, the Russia-Ukraine conflict, and who's sitting in the Oval Office, just to name a few things. So many times people worry about all of the things that are out of their control, and oftentimes we forget about all of the things that are in our control. In our last planning video, we talked about planning for the things that are out of your control, all of those different outside factors. But in today's video, we are going to be talking about all of the things that are in your control and how you can optimize your financial plan. There's an old song that says, "Whatever will be, will be." And I think that we often need a reminder that we're not able to control everything that happens in our lives. We know that things are just going to happen that are out of our control, and we know how to optimize our plan for those things to build in that margin of safety so we can sleep at night and have peace of mind. But before we start worrying about all of those outside factors, we need to pause, take inventory, look internally, and ask ourselves, what things do I have control over, and what can I do today to make an impact on my finances? So I've prepared a list of 3 things that you can do today to take control of your finances and optimize the things that are in your control. The first thing is asset location and the tax efficiency of your portfolio. Now, asset location is especially important from a tax perspective because some investments are just naturally more tax efficient than others. Keeping tax efficient investments in a taxable account could help limit your tax liability. At the same time, you could funnel less tax efficient investments into a tax deferred account like your 401k, traditional IRA, or Roth IRA. We've done a deep dive on asset location before, so check out the video, "Is Your Portfolio Optimized?" to learn more. The second area that you have control over is your all-in cost of investing. We say that compounding interest is the 8th wonder of the world, but compounding fees is the 8th deadly sin. Paying attention to your net of fee returns is going to give you insight to how much of your hard-earned money is going to fees and how much you're keeping in your pocket. So here's an example. Let's say you work with 2 different advisors. One charges 65 basis points, as we do here at Pure Portfolios, and your other, more traditional advisor charges you 1%. Now, depending on the investment vehicle that they use, like individual stocks and bonds, or ETFs, or mutual funds, your expense ratio may range from anywhere from 0 to over 1%. Now, if each advisor achieves a gross return of 6.5% each year over 30 years, just by reducing your fees and your expense ratio, you could lose out on over $1 million. Now, these changes may be small, but they are effective, and it always continues to amaze us how many people aren't aware of the fees that they're paying. Next time you speak with your advisor, make sure you ask about what your management fees are, but go above and beyond that and ask about your expense ratio of the securities that you own. Here's a hint. The expense ratios are not going to be listed on your statement. And if your advisor can't give you a clear answer as to how much you're paying or how much your cost of investing is, make sure you dig and ask questions. This is very basic, transparent information that should be available to you. And if your advisor can't give you an answer, don't be afraid to press them. At the end of the day, this is your hard-earned money and you should have access to this information. If you want to learn more about the cost of investing, we've got 2 different videos. One is titled, "How much are you actually paying your advisor?" And the other one is "Assets that trigger capital gains." Those 2 videos should help you know a little bit more about what to look for, hidden expense ratios, and outsized fees. The third way you can optimize the things that you can control is to put your money where your mouth is, otherwise known as expenses. Especially in retirement, our expenses are one of the things that we have the most control over. Like we said earlier in this video, we often hear about all of the things that are outside of our control, what the feds are doing, rate hikes, who's sitting in the Oval Office, inflation, and the list can go on and on. But in addition to that, actions and words aren't aligned. So for example, if you are worried about a recession, but your withdrawal rate starts to exceed your average rate of return, meaning you're taking more out of your portfolio than what your account is growing by, we might need to reevaluate a few things. We often hear about people who are really worried about where the markets are going. They're extremely bearish on the future, but at the same time, they're highly leveraged out, either on their home, taking out a second mortgage, or even borrowing on margin through their investment accounts. It's really hard to say that you have an opinion one way of where you feel like the future is going to go, but your actions are saying something completely different. Another example that comes up from time to time is if you've agreed on an investment plan, an allocation that achieves a certain level of return and your expenses are aligned with that. If you suddenly make a large financial decision, like investing in someone's business, supporting a child or a grandchild, these large financial decisions that will make an impact on your plan, if you do that without consulting with your advisor, it's really difficult for us to be able to just make the plan work. Now, it's not to say it's impossible, but it can be difficult to retroactively go back to the plan after a decision has already been made, money is left the door, to guarantee that your plan is going to be as successful as it potentially was before that decision was made. Now, the bottom line is if you believe that stuff is going to hit the fan at some point in the future, you should evaluate if your actions support what you are saying. If it doesn't, it may be a good time to schedule a meeting with your advisor. Sit down and see if what you're doing and how you are spending is sustainable. It's an extremely important conversation to have, and at the end of the day, your financial plan is only as good as the implementation. So in this video, we have talked about 3 ways that you can optimize things that are in your control. The first is your asset location and tax efficiency of your portfolio. The second is the fees that you pay and your all-in cost of investing. And the third is your spending. Does your actions align with your values? So if you have any questions, you can send us an email at insight@pureportfolios.com. All of the resources mentioned in this video will be linked down below. Check out our video, blog, and podcast, and we'll see you in our next planning video. Bye.